Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Your Three Uniques. I'm really excited to introduce you to Nicole Britton. Nicole is an entrepreneur, she's a mom, and she's an intuitive leader out of Vancouver, Canada. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to share just a little bit more about yourself to everyone that's watching today?
Yeah, for sure. So you give a pretty good introduction. I'd say that very accurately describes me in a sentence. I'm a mom to a very rambunctious, non-sleeping toddler. He's 2.5.
Yeah.
I moved to Vancouver 6 years ago, which is crazy. I randomly took a leap of faith and was like, well, what's the worst that's going to happen, from Ontario, and have been here ever since. I never imagined myself living here for the 6 years or longer that I'll be here.
Well, you picked one of the best cities in the world to take a random leap to. So.
Yeah, exactly. My best friend was like, you'll love it here. I was like, oh, okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm an intuitive leader in the online space. And I also work with a plant-based beauty company, Monet, in the online space as well.
Amazing.
Okay. So my intuition was something I always had, but never knew what it was. So I always say, like, I look back to high school and like weird things would always happen. And I always had this like interesting feeling, or could like almost predict the way someone would act. And then those things would come true. And I always was like, well, that's weird, or like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a pretty bad relationship ended, I really got in tune with myself and the way I wanted to live my life and the person I wanted to be and how I wanted to take care of myself. And I really dove into paying attention to that. And I think so often we look to other people for advice and leadership, which is great. We all need a variety of mentors and people to look up to and people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing that can guide you to success and happiness in life or in business is that little voice in your body. And I think I always tell people, don't listen to your heart, don't listen to your head, listen to your gut, which is like that intuitive feeling of,
Right.
if you need to make a decision, it's like, you'll always get that naggy feeling that's like,
Mm-hmm.
do this, do that. And most people go this way.
Yeah.
You know, I always say your intuition knows what's up. It will never lead you astray, even if it's in a different path than you think you should be going. You'll always end up where you're supposed to be. Your intuition will always lead you to what you want or to something better. It's a big thing. A lot of people in like the, I would call it the woo-woo world say is this or something better. It will, right. If you can learn to listen to yourself and trust yourself, the world is literally your oyster. You can be whoever you want to be and create the life that you want, because your intuition can guide you that way.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think also just one of the things you said there when you first started talking about it is everyone's equipped with it. And, you know, like you can go and access coaches, mentors, you know, bosses, etc., parents, teachers, etc., that can help guide you. But, you know, our body is equipped with everything that we need to function from 0 to 100, right? And it's just, sometimes we just haven't gotten used to using all the parts, all the bells, all the whistles that we have. But like, we have it all right here in just one unit. And we try and outsource it, or we try and loan it out or whatever, but we've got it all just right here and we have to like make use of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, like, I've been in this online space for, gosh, almost 5 years now. And I've always looked to other people. I've always been, okay, what are other people doing? What's she doing for success? What he's doing? Okay, maybe I should change and do what they're doing. Should I alter this? Should I alter that? And then once I kind of stopped doing that, took a step back and was like, okay, what do I want my life to look like? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up as an entrepreneur and a leader, not only in the online space, but in my life? Everything shifted. Like, I started connecting more. I was a better leader for my team. I was more content. I really learned to, I always say, like, my theme this year is like hustle and heart, to work hard, put my heart into it, but just trust that I was like working with myself and with the universe, and that things would work out. I think we so often, we go through so much in our lives, right? Like, as you get older, you go through much good and bad and trials and tribulations. And we have all these blocks and these old stories and fears that stop us from trusting ourselves and listening to ourselves. So it can take a lot of work, and it's a never ending journey because we're constantly changing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And your second unique is around empathy. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it ties in to my intuition. Again, back in high school, I would always like have, it's like empathy premonitionary, but I would always have dreams. I'd have like really random dreams. Like say Brenna, you and I were in high school together, and I had this dream that Brenda dyed her hair red. And then next, like that same day, you would have come to school with like red hair. Or I had a dream that like this person went to this university. And then like just all these like little things started to happen. And so I really tapped into like my intuition. And then, you know, kind of, I would say in the last, oh gosh, maybe 10 years, I always thought I had anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Always like got really anxious in social situations, or I thought I was getting anxious in social situations. But I got this really good piece of advice that was like, when you feel your anxiety rise up, is it in those social situations? Is it when you're at a concert or a sporting event? Or is it when you're at home with yourself in the shower, cooking and cleaning? And I realized it was when I was at home. It's like that anxiety was rising because I was going out. You know, I love going out and going to the beach and seeing people and socializing. And I was absorbing everybody's energy, and I was taking all of that on, so that when I got home, my body was just like it's like buzzing with energy, which is the hard part of it, but the beautiful side of it. And I think the best quality that my friends will tell you about me is that I am a great listener, and I will at the same time give you all the advice that you don't want to hear. And I think that simply comes from a space of listening to my intuition, being able to relate to you, and then be able to give you the advice that I know is going to serve your highest good and your highest self, and direct you into the place that you need to go. And this trait has served me in my professional life and my personal life as a mother too. Like I try to put myself in Jameson's shoes, especially now as a 2.5-year-old, like all the tantrums. I'm like, okay, he doesn't understand this, or he's trying to do this. And especially too, I think back to like being a new mom with Jackson working all the time and me being at home with Jameson. I was like, okay, take a step back. This is hard, but I don't know what it's like to be a working dad, to come home and deal with a mom who hasn't slept and a newborn baby.
Right.
And he doesn't know what it's like to be a stay-at-home mom. And so really just, I think empathy is its biggest point, and being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and really, really listen to them and relate to them.
Yeah, that's so important. I love the examples that you gave just about your own personal journey around it. And listening right now is going to be critical, I think, for a lot of people as they're looking for that next step, that next job, if they've been furloughed, etc., or even companies that are looking at, doing the reopen thoughtfully process, and what does that look like for their communities as well as their employees and their customers, is listen, right? Like, I think, as much as we want to reopen as quickly as we possibly can, we also know that this virus is still around. Like, that hasn't gone away. So we have to be thoughtful and empathetic to everybody's issues and needs. And so that also means like, checking in with ourselves and just being gracious. I think we're all like learning this new way of living and working and cohabitating in our communities together. It wasn't like, we had like a prelude to this, like, hey, get ready for our life to be turned upside down. Like, we're all just discovering this together. So I think leaning in and being empathetic is really key.
Yeah. During this time, especially, I listened to a great podcast this morning. One of Oprah's like soulful sessions that she does. And it was with Eckhart Tolle, and he was saying, love him. Loved him before I even knew who he was, like 7 years ago. He was saying, like, as a collective and individually, this moment has really taught us to be still and be comfortable with stillness, but it's also taught us to come together and be empathetic, because during this situation, everyone's life has been affected in a different way, right? People always say, oh my gosh, I can't imagine working from home with your partner at home and with a toddler. And I'm like, yeah, it's hard, but this is also affecting you in this way, and your friend in this way, and your mom in this way. And so it's really just taking a step back and realizing that this situation has impacted us all in different ways, and being willing to listen to each other and be there for each other. I think it's really, sounds super corny, but it's really going to bring humanity together as a whole and really slow us down in a way that
bring on the corny. That's good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. And what's your last unique? Remind us again.
I said dream bigger.
Oh yeah, dream bigger. Awesome. Yeah,
I think it's something that I learned. I always knew, I should say always knew. My dad always raised me to do something for myself. He always, whether big or small, he was always like, do something for you, make your own money, whether you go big or you do it on the side, always do something for you. And so I was raised and brought up to believe that. So when I decided to go into this online space, it wasn't, I would say, as normal then as it is now. And even now people kind of like cock their head at me. They're like, what are you doing? Like, you have to get a normal job. And I do. I have a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 as well. 9 to 5. It's not 9 to 5 now, but I believe that, you can have the life that you want. Is that just because it's not normal, whatever that means.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's not what your mom did. Yeah, it is not traditional. It's not what your mom did or your sister's doing or your cousin or your Aunt Sally or your neighbor Sue. Like, doesn't mean that it can't happen. And I heard this quote recently. We did on team training, and one of the most successful leaders on our team says, "She who decides gets to have it all and more." And like, even saying that now,
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, like it gives me, it has tingles all over my body. It's like, you can have the life that you want. You want to travel the world. Okay. What is it going to happen tomorrow? Maybe not, but can it happen a year from now? Absolutely. You want to have babies? Like, have babies. You want to, whatever you want to do, like, you want to start a knitting company. you can do, yeah, you can want to be a cat lady, like, do it all.
Yeah.
Like, you can do whatever you want to do, regardless of the way maybe you were brought up to think the way life should be, or what society tells us life should be. Like, I always say, why not?
Yeah. Well, and there's people that have, like, and no offense to the people that have followed in those traditional jobs.
Yeah.
Like, and if we call them out, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need accountants, etc. Yeah. And if it's not your passion, like, that has like huge effects on you too, right? Are you going to be really, like, if you're in a job that you don't really love, are you really going to be giving your all to your customer, to your client, that end user that's supposed to be, benefiting from you and your knowledge in that area? Or if you want to be like opening up a knitting store, and, like, and that's what really drives you, chances are there's people in the world, like, there's 8 billion people, like, someone on the planet is going to be like, yeah, thanks for caring about knitting just as much as me.
Oh my God.
And, and if you can monetize that, amazing. Even better.
Yeah. I would say the world is your oyster. You can make the most of it, especially now. We were kind of talking about it before we hopped on this, is now's the time. I've had quite a few friends, unfortunately, who have lost their jobs temporarily or, for the near future.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't imagine what that's like. But take a step back and think, what do I want to do? How can I use my skill set to move forward for myself or my family, or we have them? If I could build my ideal life, that life that, like, kind of just sits in the back corner, that's like on our vision board or like part of Pinterest, what does that look like? And, use this time to start building that. You don't have to take these. Dreaming big, it doesn't mean taking these like big, bold, messy steps. It can be those, absolutely, and those are important, but it's also about doing the little things to propel you towards that life that you do want. Maybe it's learning a new skill, so that when you go back or when you're applying for a new job, or you're starting a business, you have that. Maybe it's volunteering. So you can use that as a reference, or maybe it starts as a volunteering position and then it moves on to something else.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Yeah.
just,
And, you know, and it may mean that, you know, you can't actually launch that, you know, dream big business for say maybe another 3-4 years. That's okay too, based off of maybe where the economy's at, or you can't get a business loan or whatever you need to get that, you know, momentum going. So, you know, get a job, figure out how you're going to pay the rent, cut back on expenses, whatever those things may be, just to make sure that you've got yourself like set up well. And then, you know, maybe produce some content about the things that you're passionate about. Like, you know, the big thing right now, TikTok, like, I don't know, like
oh God, I don't know.
Don't worry, it's not catered for 14-year-old girls. Like, there's an opportunity for all of us to be on TikTok and all of our different businesses, or LinkedIn, or Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram, wherever it needs to be, or all of those platforms, right? But like, you know, just keep it starting to write content, so you can still have your day job, and then on the side, like just producing content around the thing that you're passionate about. And, you know, and eventually you're going to get enough people like interested in that. And then is there an opportunity? Is that the time that you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to monetize this, and I'm going to launch my business, whatever that may be. Or again, it could be a side gig where you still keep your day job. We could do a whole other podcast.
I know.
Which I'm really passionate about. But for those of you, like, there'll be more information in this post about where to find Nicole. She's on Instagram. She posts content every single day. I always find her content really inspiring. Thanks a lot for being on our show today and sharing your 3 uniques with everybody, Nicole. It's been awesome.